Is there a formula to writing a hit single?
Probably. I mean...
Have you got
well, one? No. The fact that people like what I do is like a happy coincidence, because I would, I'd just do what I do, and people either like it or they don't. And but for a while there, because there's no, people couldn't quite understand it. Critics couldn't quite understand it. I was supposed to be, the King Midas with the formula that knows exactly what's going on. I have no idea. I have no idea. There are obviously, I guess you get, and they would admit it, the Stock Aitken Waterman kind of writers, and those in the 80s, I guess it was now. But then there's a formula for that. You know what's going to happen, and it pushes all the buttons, and that kind of thing.
You must get a stage when, and I imagine it's quite a scary stage, when it's time to play the song to somebody else and see what they think, and their reaction. That must affect the way you feel. Are you ritualistic about that, or is there someone in particular you ask to hear it first, or how does that work?
I don't really believe anybody. I believe me, I think. I mean, obviously this is a terribly different way of working if you're working with Disney. For example, I'll write a song thousands of miles away to a piece of film, if I'm lucky. Some of the time it's just a few lines on a page of what the action would be. So I'll write the song, and then you've got 3 directors, well, 2 directors and a producer, plus all the people in the background that are all there, executive producers and executive directors, and you're playing this thing, and then there's this awful silence at the end where, I grew up in the world where this is what I do. This is my album. Do what you want with it, as opposed to record companies saying, "Oh, it's not finished yet. We need a couple of other songs on it. It's a bit dark, isn't it? Whatever." I was brought up in the other world, and so to have suddenly a committee tell you what's right or wrong with it, that's a bit. You have to just take that hat off and put a different hat on, and I love that. I love that hat, because I'm learning to do something brand new that I've never done before, working with this kind of team, whether it be the musical Broadway people or whether it be the film people. But I don't really. There's no one I can really say, because by the time people hear it, I've already decided that it's good enough or it's not good enough.
Do you have writer's block?
I go through periods when I don't really write at all. And frankly, if I sit and I've got a little studio in my house, and I will sit and I'll write, and I may, hoping that something's going to happen, record it, and if it doesn't, then I just get rid of it. But I can just walk away from it, if nothing's happening. You walk out, come back a half an hour later, the first thing happens. Wow, that's good. What was that? I don't have to hammer away at it because I've got a deadline to meet. If it's not happening, it's not happening.
But would you feel something of a loss if you didn't write?
Yes,
keep writing songs.
Yeah, I'm at the stage now in my life that the writing is the most pleasurable thing. It's the satisfaction of writing it and doing it, and now with computer you can just go on forever or not, but you can actually change things. Sometimes you have a mistake, you shift the whole part to a different, you copy the part and it all goes to a different instrument, and suddenly it's like, what was that? That was happy accidents like that. But that's what I get the most pleasure from. So I can see a time in the very, very near future where I will write songs and nobody else will hear them but me.
Another Day in Paradise. I'm going to ask you to play it in a minute, if that's okay.
Yes.
Before we get there, can you ask...
I do like music.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure.
I'm not very good.
I hope you like playing it as well. What was the circumstances behind writing that and the inspiration for that song?
Well, this actually was one of those moments where there was nothing happening. There was a what you call a block, and I did leave the room, and I did come back, and the first thing I wrote was, if I can get it right, but. Features quite a lot in some of my stuff actually, but anyway, I wrote that and I thought, okay. I managed to tap the idea a little bit back to playing in America with Genesis, and we were playing in Washington. And I remember we had a pastor that was driving us. He was a part-time limo driver as well, but he was in this van, and I said to him, because it was snowing, and there was all these people out on the streets, and I said, what's going on here? Sort of demonstration or something? He said, no, this is where these people live. I said, and you could see Capitol Center, you know. And I said, you're joking. What? Washington, you know, I thought was one of the wealthiest cities in America. And it is, but then there's this huge gap. But he said, no, they live here. This is their home, these boxes. I said, my God. And I think it must have just subliminally gone in. The song now is so associated with the homeless, and it almost seems wrong to burst the bubble, but when I wrote the song and did it in some kind of, you know, like some kind of order onto tape, sounding like I could sing along to it, I'm afraid that's what came out, you know. There was no burning issue to help solve the world's homeless problem.
So these songs take on their own entity, and then and then you find yourself being criticised by Alexei Sayle for what he perceived as, I don't know, maybe he felt that you're not in a position to write about this. So does it then feel that you own this song, or does it feel that you're separate from that criticism, or?
Well, no, I just think that from the criticism point of view, it's just that he hasn't listened to it. It's just to him, it's just an annoying song. He hasn't actually listened to what the words are. You know, the idea is that we should just all thank God that we're as lucky as we are. You know, you, me, him over there who's not living in a box. You know, but the criticism was like that. How would I know because I'm wealthy? Well, you imagine what it's like. That's all I'm saying. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I'll play it. Shut up.